In a village not too far from here, there lived a chief named Kato. Chief Kato was respected, feared, and most of all, wealthy. But there was one thing about him that all the villagers knew. Chief Kato was a greedy man. No matter how much he had, he always wanted more. One year, during the season of harvest, an old musician arrived in the village. He was a mysterious traveler with a long gray beard and eyes that sparkled with wisdom. On his back, he carried a peculiar drum, one that seemed to hum with a life of its own. The villagers gathered to listen as he played, enchanted by the music that seemed to float through the air like magic. But this drum was no ordinary drum. It was known as the talking drum, a magical drum blessed by the spirits. When played with the right rhythm, it could whisper secrets, reveal hidden treasures, and even bring fortune to its owner. The villagers, curious and awestruck, watched as the old musician struck the drum, and it seemed to murmur words they could barely hear. When news of the talking drum reached Chief Kato, his eyes gleamed with excitement. "Imagine the riches I could gain with such a drum," he thought. Without wasting a moment, he sent his guards to bring the old musician to his palace. That evening, the musician arrived at Chief Kato's grand palace, where golden statues and fine silks adorned every corner. The chief welcomed him with a smile, but his eyes were fixed on the drum. "Welcome, traveler," he said. "I have heard tales of your magical drum. I must say it's quite impressive." The old musician nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Chief Kato. This drum is indeed special. It is a gift from the spirits and it holds great power." Chief Kato leaned forward, unable to hide his eagerness. "I want to buy it. Tell me your price, and I shall pay you handsomely." The musician's wise eyes narrowed. He shook his head slowly. "This drum is not for sale, my chief. It was given to me by the spirits, and it is meant only for those with pure hearts." Chief Kato laughed, waving his hand dismissively. "Pure hearts? Nonsense. Everything has a price. Name yours, and the drum shall be mine." The old man paused, studying the chief carefully. He could see the greed in Kato's eyes, but he knew it would be futile to argue. With a sigh, he said, "Very well. I will give you the drum, but only if you promise to follow one rule." Chief Kato's eyes sparkled. "Name it." "Listen closely," the musician warned. "This drum is powerful, but it is also dangerous. Play it only once each day, and only when you truly need it. If you play it more than that, it will bring more than you bargained for." Chief Kato barely listened. He was already imagining the wealth and power that would soon be his. Yes, of course," he said quickly. "Now hand me the drum." The old musician handed over the drum with a solemn look. "Remember my warning, Chief Kato. The spirits are watching." The chief paid him, and the musician left, vanishing into the night like a shadow. The next morning, Chief Kato couldn't wait to try out his new treasure. He locked himself in his palace, sat before the talking drum, and struck it 3 times. Doom, doom, doom. The drum's deep, ancient voice echoed through the room, filling the air with an eerie presence. "Ask and I shall bring you fortune," it whispered. Chief Kato's heart raced with excitement. "Bring me gold," he commanded, "and bring me lots of it." No sooner had he spoken the words than gold coins began to spill from the drum, piling up around him. The chief laughed in delight, scooping up the coins and letting them slip through his fingers. He had never seen so much gold in his life. For the rest of the day, Chief Kato basked in his newfound wealth. He thought of the musician's warning, but greed clouded his mind. What harm could come from using the drum a little more? He wondered. The next day, he couldn't resist the urge to play it again. Once more he struck the drum, and this time he demanded jewels, rubies, emeralds, and diamonds. And just as before, the drum obliged, pouring precious stones into his hands. Day after day, Chief Kato played the drum, each time demanding more wealth. He soon played it twice a day, then 3 times, then 4, ignoring the warning entirely. The palace overflowed with treasures, so much so that he had to order his servants to build new rooms just to store his riches. But the chief's greed only grew stronger. No amount of gold or jewels seemed to satisfy him. One evening, As the sun set over the village, he decided to play the drum yet again. He struck it harder than ever before, his voice echoing through the palace. "Give me more riches," he shouted. "I want everything this world has to offer." But this time the drum did not give him gold. Instead it laughed, a dark, mocking laugh that sent shivers down Chief Kato's spine. "Chief Kato," it said, its voice dripping with scorn.
"You have taken too much. Now it is your turn to give."
Before the chief could respond, a strange wind swept through the palace. The gold coins scattered, turning to dust before his eyes. The jewels crumbled, slipping through his fingers like sand. The walls of his palace, once sturdy and grand, began to crack and crumble, stones falling to the ground as his wealth vanished into thin air. "Stop! Stop!" Chief Kato screamed, frantically striking the drum in desperation. "Please, bring my riches back." But the drum only laughed again, its voice filled with contempt.
"You were warned, Chief Kato. You took more than you needed, and now you shall have nothing."
The villagers, hearing the noise, gathered outside the palace. They watched in shock as the grand structure, once the pride of the village, crumbled before their eyes, leaving only dust and rubble. Chief Kato, who had once been the wealthiest man in the village, now stood in the ruins of his own greed with nothing left but the clothes on his back. In the crowd, someone spotted the old musician watching from a distance. He shook his head slowly as though saddened by what had happened. In a voice barely louder than a whisper, he said, "A greedy heart can never be truly wealthy. The spirits give to those who are humble and take from those who take too much." Chief Kato's shoulders slumped. He realized, too late, the folly of his greed. He had ignored the warning, and now he had paid the ultimate price. The story of Chief Kato and the talking drum spread far and wide, passed down from generation to generation. The villagers never forgot the lesson, that true wealth comes not from taking more than you need, but from appreciating what you have. And the talking drum? Well, some say it still exists, hidden somewhere in the world, waiting for the next soul brave or foolish enough to test its power. Greed will always leave us with less. When we let our desire for more cloud our judgment, we risk losing everything that truly matters. What do you think? Could Chief Kato have avoided his fate? Have you ever wanted more than you needed? What happened?